Well, welcome to our last Sunday show, Garden Life Before Christmas. And I'll be honest, I'm not sure whether there will be a Wednesday walkabout on Christmas because it is Christmas Day after all. I am still wrapping things up here. Do you like that little pun? Wrapping things up here before Christmas. My kids arrived tonight. But before then, I wanted to share some things with you. I've got a couple of bulb projects. I want to show you my new table along with a tablescape. I definitely want to show you some before and afters of the construction that we've had going on here. Well, just a number of miscellaneous things. So what do you say, Stuart?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, you guys, make sure to hold on to later in the show because I'm going to talk to you about a really, really special Christmas gift for yourself, for someone else that I think, well, it just might put Christmas over the top for them. So hang on and I'll give you more details later. Okay, before we get started with some other things, I want to show you a really quick and easy bulb project. Now, in the past, I used to force lots of bulbs. Now, obviously, I still do amaryllis and a few other easy things like paper whites. But things like hyacinths, daffodils, tulips, I don't do that anymore, partly because I don't want to take up the space to do it, and I kind of don't like to see them around while they're in process, which is one of the reasons I wanted to have a greenhouse. But I've just done a big end around with sheets like this. So here we go. I bought 2 of these square container gardens from Trader Joe's. Now, when I bought them, they had in each one, and by the way, these were I think $14.99 a piece. They had 2 white hyacinths, they had amaryllis bulb, and they also had some of this ivy here. So what I did was deconstruct them in kind of novel ways. So I didn't like the way they looked in these containers, but I definitely like the containers themselves. I will recycle these later, probably in January, where I will create 2 mini lawns. I will seed some grass in here and I will have 2 mini lawns just waiting for, I don't know, waiting for Easter maybe or something. That will be an easy project. This project was also very easy. So I have waited to show you how I am doing this. I took 1 of the hyacinths. Actually, I took 3 others of the hyacinths, and I've already done this. This is my last one. I am gently removing it from its container.
Bunny ears.
Yeah, looks like bunny ears. Yeah, this one has 2 blooms coming out of it. Okay, so I'm removing as much soil as possible. So this is well on its way. I can barely mess it up at this point. It's got a good root structure. It's already got buds. It's already got leaves starting. It doesn't need...
Some of us can still mess it up.
Well, I doubt it. I doubt it. Stuart, have a little faith. It's Christmas time. Have a little faith. Okay, so I'm removing as much as possible. And then I'm going to do 2 things. I am going to clean the roots in my sink. Yeah, in my sink. Do I have impediments there that you're having to work
cool
around?
Shots. There's been cool shots during this whole thing.
Look at those beautiful fleshy roots. I don't even care if some of the roots come off. Now I've got this in kind of tepid water. I don't want to shock it too much, but I'm actually wanting to clean these roots because I want them to keep the water clean when I submerge the root system. So, yeah, aren't they? Yeah, and they're beautiful. They are beautiful in and of themselves. Okay, so I'm washing as much of that off as possible. Okay, and you'll notice I'm trying not to get the bulb too wet, just the roots. So
what's the reason for that?
Because I don't want the bulb to rot. Not that I really think it would, but it might. So then I'm going to take...
So keeping the bulb dry helps.
A little bit, yeah. So now I'm going to take a container here. This is actually just a vase. You can see here I've already done it in this vase. And by the way, I'm doing this in a color that will look good in my bedroom because I love, when you start seeing forced hyacinths available, I love to have a hyacinth by my bed at night because the fragrance is simply wonderful. So I've already done it here. This is an amber colored vase. And now I am going to do it in this crystal vase. And all I'm going to do is just wipe that off a little bit more. And you don't have to be that fastidious, but I really like the water to remain clear, and I am going to have to keep replenishing this water over time as it evaporates. I'm just going to push that down in there. And this will be happy. So this vase and this one actually work a little bit like those hyacinth bulb forcing vases, but these are a little bit prettier. And then this one, and this is going to be fun, I want to show you how I'm displaying them. So this one, number one, is going to go right here. Idea number one that I stole from John, and we'll come back to this later. But Stuart, I want you to follow me. Sorry?
That's all right.
Okay, follow me here, because these I have done in a really fun way on my mantle. So what I did was I took, and by the way, if you are looking for these, I'll put a link below, but these are called votive cups with pegs because the peg sits into the top of a taper candle holder. Now I haven't done this yet because I wanted to demonstrate for you what I've done, but I will put an adhesive disc there to make sure that this is secured. I will check them every day to make sure they have enough water in them. But look at how beautiful that looks. And these have grown just since I put them in here. So I've got another matching one on this side. And all of these came from those Trader Joe's containers. Now let's take a break here, and when we come back, I'm going to show you what I did with the amaryllis. But don't those look sweet here?
Yes, they do.
I think they do. I think they do. I'll keep turning them towards the light. And as I said, I'll put some adhesive in there. I could even put a little bit of adhesive on the candle holder itself if I wanted to ensure that they stay in place. But I'm not too worried about that. I think they'll be just fine. So we'll be right back. Okay, here's my project number two, or number one, depending on the order, how you like to do things. So in this planting, now I have nothing but dirt and roots, and I'm going to keep this dirt and these roots in here because I can use this as a planting medium later. The ryegrass seed that I will begin to germinate in here, it won't really care just how good a quality the soil is. That's going to be just fine. So I will put these in storage until I am ready to plant them. But I am going to save all of the moss that was on top. So this is, I mean, really a good investment getting these, because look how many different arrangements I'm able to make. Now I took the two amaryllis bulbs, one was each one in each one of these planters. These are white, by the way, and they should be absolutely glorious. And I planted them up in this white container. These little ivies were also in these boxes, but I think they look much prettier and more befitting the cottage by putting them in this white planter. And then I just recycled all of that moss and put that in there too. Now you might notice, Stuart, see how this one is leaning a little bit? When I put it in place in a window, I will make sure that this then grows towards the light because it's leaning this way. I want it to grow that way. So I will put this aspect towards the window so it will stand up and fly right. Later, I might put in a little stick or something to support it, but for right now, I think it looks just fine. Okay, I did a mantle makeover. I actually had my mantle completely decorated for Christmas. If we can find one, Stuart, let's put an image right here. If we can't, that's okay too. I had all sorts of greenery on here. I had those damask, red and white damask stockings hung here. It looked lovely, but after the construction that was done here, which we will be showing you here shortly, it was just dry, it was dusty, it was bothering me, and so I decided I just wanted a fresh slate. So I'm washing the stockings, and the other things I took down, and they are either in the dishwasher or they're being dusted. And all of that greenery, it was so dry already that I just went ahead and relegated it to the compost pile. So this is something, it's just quick and easy. I am making an observation, and I will provide you with a link, that definitely I notice I need more of these glass bulbeshes. And these are these little glass wax capture thingies that you put on your candlestick to capture the wax as it drips. They're not expensive. That I can buy them in bulk, and obviously I need another bulk because I need more of those. So this is just a simple makeover. I'm definitely using my topiaries in my Christmas decor, but for me, this year I noticed a thematic. The thematic is basically lots and lots of candles, as it normally is. The other thematic is kantas, those Indian recycled saris. That has definitely been a thematic. Stealing some stuff from John Turman has been a thematic. And this year it's just been a little bit different because Hubs and Johnny are in India. They get home tomorrow, and so I'm just not going to worry about it. It can be a little bit of an atypical Christmas because the important thing is to remain festive. So there you go, another couple of items. You can see that I like to use my Christmas decorations as decor. These will all move to the back on Christmas morning when we open them, and you can see over here that I have more amaryllis coming into bloom and yet another topiary. And I am making sure that I am keeping these babies watered because they will really complain and they will get very, very grinchy if they need water.
All right, everybody, here's the look of the new door. I'm gonna tell myself to put up a before pic right here, Stuart, future Stuart. I'd say it looks pretty nice. Y'all want to go knock on it? See if she's home? Oh, we're gonna knock!
Oh, you're gonna knock, okay. Well, you never knock when you come in, Stuart. So, a little bit of an update. So, Stuart, right here, if you haven't already put it on screen, let's put a before of what the door looked like before. I'm gonna shut it again. And it seems whenever we are shooting the front door, we never can get a break. It's always bright, bright sun since I face south. But look at the additional trim we put on. We still have a punch list that we have to come back and do. There's a little bit of touch-up painting that we need to continue with. But nevertheless, I think this additional trim looks marvelous. And we were able to completely change the profile of the door and its impact by putting these pieces of trim in place. I am still having a screen door built, but it's in process right now. It has to get glass in it and it's being painted. The rim of it will also be painted black, so you'll be able to see through to the beautiful molding on my front door. I think this looks so much more befitting the cottage. I think it makes me happy. It was one of those things that every time I looked at this door, I realized something was missing. I think this was, I don't know, it just is in more character. And here's my question of the day. Have you ever had something, you're not even 100% sure why, but something just looks off to you. It just doesn't look right until maybe you see it in an image somewhere on Pinterest or in a magazine, and then you have that aha moment and you think, oh yes, that is what needs to be done. And fortunately, my friends at James Gray, we're going to be visiting with them next week at James Gray. They were able to really bring my image to life. Now, Stuart, come in this way. I hope we have a before picture for this one. Okay, so you may recall that this facade was also just flat and it looked boring to me. I kind of equivocated a little bit about the possibility of painting this a dark color, but once they added the additional depth and complexity to it by adding this trim, there really wasn't any reason for me to paint it dark, because from a distance in the kitchen now, I definitely see how much more depth and texture and interest it has. And I think it looks magnificent. Before, this was just flat. This was completely flat to this depth. The trim was added around here. They cut a template and added that. Then they had these vertical pieces and a lateral piece that they put on to really make it look as if the door itself had this profile, and then we just painted it the same color that it was. I think it looks fabulous. I love the way it looks. It now looks finished to me, and no need to paint it a darker color. Now we're going to do a turnaround. This was another one of those things that was desperately bothering me. But look, you probably, Stuart, when he walked in, he said he didn't notice a thing. And I doubt Hubs will notice a thing when he comes home. But Stuart, right here, let's put that before picture without any of the molding on this entryway going into the kitchen. What we did was we replicated exactly the 100-year-old molding that was already in place, and we took this kind of modern entryway that they had opened up, and we put that molding in place to replicate how it would have looked like 100 years ago. Now, definitely, this whole wall would not have been opened, but that's okay because the trim, I think, completes it. Now, here's something interesting, and we've got some in-process pictures that we're going to show you as well. In order to, Stuart, if you want to come on this side, you'll notice that on both sides, there's an electrical outlet. And there was not enough depth between the outlet and the edge of the wall to accommodate trim of this, of this girth. So what we had to do was build, and this was their idea, was build this out just a little bit. So they put in some frame, they built this out, and then they put the trim over it. And then we painted it. And I think it looks fabulous. It looks like it has been here forever. Exactly. From both sides, from that side and from this side.
That's why I didn't notice it.
And I think it just, well, it just makes me happy. It looks complete. It looks finished.
Like it makes it's supposed to be there. Is what
it looks as if it is supposed to be here. It looks like in the past something was forgotten, and now we have remembered it. So we're going to take a break here, and I'm going to show you a few other things. Now, a lot of you, if you're new to this channel, and if you are, welcome, and if you are not, this is just more of the process. In either case, make sure to subscribe, hit the follow button, hit the like button. But what I wanted to create was a sense of enclosure and a sense of the distinction between the parlor and the kitchen. I wanted to feel as if there was two different rooms. I wanted to have a much more of a semblance of privacy in here, for those instances when my kitchen is a mess, but also when I'm working in the kitchen. And so thanks to a lovely Elizabeth out in California, she sent me the execution of an idea that I was playing with. You guys have heard this ad nauseum, and there will be a panel here. Now the panel has already been built. It's already been painted, but it's in the process right now of having its hardware added. And the hardware will be this brass mesh window, if you will, that's in this illustration. And also, and this will answer questions that you guys have had, will this be a permanent fixture or will it be removable? It will be easy to remove, and let me explain how we're going to do that to make it both secure and flexible. So there will be beautiful brass bolts. One will go up into this trim. The other will go down into the floor. And again, I've showed you that something similar was done in the past in its history. One will go down into the floor, and then there'll be another one underneath that brass mesh that will go in here. All of the brass itself will be beautiful and will look like jewelry, whether the door or the divider is in place or not. When I want to remove it for entertaining, for whatever reasons, all I have to do is pull those bolts out, and it's not prohibitively heavy, and all I have to do is just remove it and relocate it to another area and then put it back when I'm ready for it to be back. It will almost look like I have two different kinds of setups here. Interestingly, I mentioned the other day that I saw this very same thing at a local restaurant where they had created privacy for a booth area, and maybe subliminally that's where I got the idea too. Let me show you one last thing that we did.
Gusto has the same kind of thing.
And you probably won't recognize or even notice that there's anything amiss here. And that is we added trim to this entryway too. So we've got a before and after here, Stuart. We added this trim here, and now that trim is consonant throughout the house. In other words, everywhere now in this old part of the house has this trim.
Because you look back at the bedrooms, you see it on both.
Yeah, you can see the trim here, see the trim here. And what we did was we just replicated that.
That's good.
So I could not be more pleased. And to celebrate, I got 2 new orchids from Trader Joe's to put here. After I cleaned all of this up, there was surprisingly to me, there was quite a bit of sawdust. So everything had to be removed. It obviously was also painted, and it had to be cleaned up and restaged. And that's what I've been working on for the past 2 weeks, which will also give a partial explanation for our next topic. So Stuart, let's take a break here and we'll be right back. A little behind the scenes for you guys. We got so many comments about the audio yesterday when we did John Turman's home, and I thought I'd give you a little bit of an explanation. Part of it, well, all of it actually was just a perfect storm of things. Number one, and I'm not throwing John under the bus, but he had a cold, so his voice wasn't very strong. Secondly, it's my bad because I had a mic on, but it wasn't my normal mic. My normal mic was here at the cottage, but I couldn't find it because all of this was completely draped in plastic while they were spray painting the construction. So that's my bad. So we didn't have the extra mic. And then thirdly, Stuart, in the edit bay, Stuart did miss something. Are you claiming? Yeah, accidentally didn't turn it back up. But that said, I don't want you guys to think that we are disrespecting you in any way. We do check the audio. I watch the video before it goes up. Granted, I watch it in double time, so sometimes something might slip by me. And Stuart watches it as well. When we hear it on our devices, it sounds fine, probably because we are hearing it on the devices upon which we recorded it. So there are no frequency issues, there's no device to device. And so when we put it out there, trust me, you guys, I wouldn't do that to you. We wouldn't put something out there that we didn't think you could hear. The other thing is we have no control over, and that is sometimes if you are listening to it on a different device that's not, say, within the Apple family or just something like that, maybe there's a frequency issue and it may not be as loud, which is why we get comments from some people saying, I can hear you just fine, and other people say, I've got it turned all the way up. Lastly, I am definitely going to throw YouTube under the bus, I guess, because when you guys say, oh my gosh, then the ads come on and they're so loud, we have absolutely no control over that. If you are watching a video on TV, on Netflix or whatever, you'll notice the same thing. That is just them. That is not us. But it is irritating. I agree with you. So I'm sorry for the audio. We do what we can. 99% of you just let us know so graciously and so kindly, and we appreciate it. There's a couple of you out there that are kind of grumpuses, but you know what? You might have a reason to be grumpusy at Christmas. So we'll take that in stride. We'll take that in stride too. At any rate, we just want you to know that unlike some other channels that have a huge support, technical staff, engineers, all that kind of stuff, we are just a small business. It's just little old Stuart and me doing the best we can. So thank you for letting us know. Thank you for your kind words, and just know, have a little faith in us at Christmas time that we're doing the best we can, just making it from one video to another. Okay, this table is pretty much representative of all of my obsessions for this holiday season. And by the way, that's something I think I'm going to start noting in my garden journal, is what were my favorite things of Christmas 2024. And definitely these contas were, and someone, one of you graciously responded when I asked, how do you pronounce that? And they explained, it was contas. So this whole Christmas season has been inspired by India, whether it's been long distance or here close at home. This is one of those contests that I bought. Many of you, I've noticed, have bought them too.
I love them.
And isn't it so fun? I can get a completely different vibe here next year. My other obsession were these tiny little apples. Now, I have to give you a heads up, you guys. So I told you about the rocket apples, and aren't these dear? These are so cute. But then I went to Sprouts, and I haven't been to Sprouts in a while, and they had even tinier ones in bags. These have got to be some kind of cross between a crab apple and a regular apple, but I absolutely love them. I'll show you a little bit later where I have them staged in different parts of the cottage, just because they are eminently sweet and cute, and I love them, and I love the way they look on greenery and elevated on a plant stand, of course. Obviously for me, it's always about candlelight. I got these candles. Where did I get these candles? I can't remember. If I can find the link, I will. But I love the way they look. They have kind of a woodsy vibe. I got out. I wanted to be very traditional this year, partly because who knew that my younger son, Jamie, who typically is a minimalist and doesn't like a lot of stuff, he loves Christmas, and he said he just loves this Christmas china, my Christmas spode, which is very interesting to me. So, because I would not have thought that. Definitely, if you are interested in Christmas spode, now is the time to get it, because I think I saw that you can get online maybe a 4-piece place setting for like $88 or something, drastically reduced in price. Now, why is that? Someone sent me this explanatory YouTube cut about the Christmas spode, and that is that what I have, what was made years ago, was actually made in England. Now they have moved their factories over to China, and what you get now, even though it looks identical to it, it comes from China, not from England, but it does look identical to it. So if you are just in love with the pattern itself and not necessarily its provenance, then definitely you might want to get it, or if you just want to add to your collection. So I probably won't be buying it for my son Jamie because I have a lot of it. What I probably will do, however, is divide some of it up and give him some special pieces like these. So my mom had a lot of spode, and she also over the years collected some anniversary plates and things that had a different rim, different detailing on it. This was made also in England. This is very old, and it says wishing you a Merry Christmas. So I have pieces like this as well, and it may be that that's what I gift to him, or some of the additional pieces. And ultimately, when I croak, he's going to get it all anyway, so it's all good. But I am really, I'm kind of embracing that traditional and non-traditional, the traditional china on this non-traditional cover. I do like the way it looks. I have my little spode coasters out here that I will be adding salt and pepper to, like I did over Thanksgiving. They make wonderful salt and pepper cellars, and I will have that here. And then I have another sweet little dish that'll be my butter dish, and everything will be set when the kids arrive later tonight. They're driving in from Santa Fe. Now you may say, oh, Linda, you have a different table. And I do. And when we come back, I'm going to describe to you my rationale for my different table and a little bit about what it may look like. Okay, you guys know, unless I'm moving, I typically get rid of very little, especially if it has significant meaning to me. And so what I did was a little bit of furniture leapfrog. So starting with this table here, I decided that I wanted a round table. I wanted one that was more comfortable to eat at. The other one, I felt like we were very compressed against the wall, and I wanted something larger. So I've got a question for you. I ordered this table, which looks, ladies, lift your skirt. It looks like this.
Get over here where I can see it.
And Stuart, right here, let's put a picture of what I ordered. So this is a classic kind of, well, they called it a farmhouse table, but to me, it's just a beautiful round table on a pedestal. So I wanted a round table here, and I love this, and I think it looks great. Now, there was a little bit of a hiccup, as there often is around the holidays. I ordered a 54-inch table for here. This one is 48 inches. Another 6 inches would have brought it out to about here. It would still fit, but it would be larger. Now that I have this one in place, I'm thinking, oh, I kind of like the scale of it. Maybe I don't need larger. And so that's I'm always asking you guys your opinion. Do you like this size, or do you think I should have them send me a replacement that is 54 inches that would come out to about here? Now, something else that I thought about in my thought process was that I love my mom chair here. If I keep this smaller table, I can have my additional chair can be another mom chair. Ooh. If I get the larger table, then I'll have to use smaller chairs. In either case, I have other chairs that I can use right now from different locations in my house for this fourth seat.
Whatever it takes to get two mom chairs in
Well, because what I have discovered is that a lot of times Dad likes to sit in the mom chair.
I like to sit in the mom chair
and
too.
Stuart likes to sit in the mom chair. And these are just so comfortable,
really
you guys. They're just so comfortable. So I don't ever want anybody to kind of feel like they're the stepchild when they're around my table. So I'm thinking maybe I'm going to call it good. I feel like this is more than spacious enough. And if I want to seat 6, I can seat 6 without too much of a problem. Just take away the centerpiece, which always gets taken away anyway. So give me your thoughts on that. But I love the way it looks. I love the fact that I already had this table skirt that you may recognize from the old house. I had it on the table in my living room, and it creates a great base for the contents that I might want to use, a la John Turman, because I stole that idea from him. I stole the idea of using this as a tablecloth, and then I showed you how I also used this to kind of change and transition this chair a little bit where Dad sits. A lot of you have ordered these, and I want to know how you are using them at your house. If you're gifting them, if you're using all of them, I think they're fun. I think they're funky. I don't really care that they don't match with the other patterns. It's part of the non-traditional, the tension between the non-traditional and the traditional that I like so much. So let's take a break here, and I'm going to show you another thing that I stole from John Turman.
And
Here's a few tips on what you might want to do to entertain yourself over the holidays. I just watched I believe it was on Netflix, Maria Callas. It's just called Maria. Angelina Jolie plays the part. It was absolutely brilliant. If you haven't already seen it, I've got to put in another plug for Klaus. I watched a new Christmas movie this year as I was doing all of this cleanup and decorating, and that was Nutcracker with I always get them mixed up. Ben Stiller. It's either Ben Stiller or Adam Sandler. Anyhow, it is pretty funny. And lastly, I'm a proud mom, but my son Johnny, I've been telling him for years, you need to get on Instagram. You need to share some of your beautiful literary talents with the world. So you might want to follow him on Instagram in both his stories and in his feed, because he has captured so much of India, but he's done it in his very, very unique literary way, matching the perfect words to the perfect image. It's just under John Vaughter, so you might want to check him out.
It's good.
It is. It's pretty good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. If you want to see India vicariously through his eyes. So that's just a little bit of what I have been entertaining myself with over the last week. Okay, you guys, you may know that last year I went with Garden Gate magazine and my buddy Kristen to Scotland doing a garden tour. And this year we are going to Ireland, and I want to invite you to go along with us. Let me give you a few details. It's going to be this July 15th to the 22nd. We will put a link below to all of the information that you will need relative to accommodations, to the tours themselves, what locations we are going to see. I've been on to some of these gardens before, but some of these are private gardens I have not been, and I cannot wait to go. I have wonderful, wonderful gardening memories from my past visits to Ireland, and I would love to be lucky enough, Irish lucky enough for you to go along with me. So if some of you that went last year, Helen, Ruth, Debbie, any of you guys out there, if that went last year, Gretchen, if you want to go again this year, we had so much fun, then maybe Santa needs to put that in your stocking. If you didn't go with us last year, then I really encourage you to take a look at it. We had so much fun. It's really a trip of a lifetime. Kristen and the Garden Gate people put together, well, they just do a top-notch job. So if you want to join us, all of the information is in the link below. Hurry up though, because I think I don't know how many more slots they have left. If Ireland's not for you, then you'll also want to check out the link of other locations that Garden Gate magazine is going to visit, doing some garden tours in the Cotswolds and other locations. But I actually would just like you to go to Ireland with me. So if you have a really special gift that you don't, that you haven't made a purchase for and you have to give, then I definitely would suggest a trip to Ireland. Okay, you guys knew after watching that video that I was so smitten with the galley tray that John had on his counter. He had Christmas cards on his, and I decided that I wanted a little bit more sparkle with crystal, with some silver. I then got out
That's so neat. What is this?
my little tea canister, and I polished it. So I will put in some of my Christmas teas in here a little bit later. Oh yeah, it's so reflective. And then I can add another piece of cut crystal here with my hyacinth. I love the way it looks. I love these candy canes that I got at Homeland. I love the way they make a heart over my nut bowls. These are pecans from the pecan farm that my friend Gail and her sister have. So I just love everything about it. I handpicked out my color coordinated silver and red Hershey's Kisses, and I just like the way it looks. And then I have more confections to come that I'm in the process of getting ready to make. I'm going to make some nut clusters. I'm going to make some of my toffee. I'm going to make some Irish stew to have here for my kids when they arrive later tonight. But then I also have just some goodies. I love real dates. So I have some dates, and I have some of those Mexican wedding cookies. And anyhow, I just think it all comes together great. And I have to share this Christmas memory with you. Tell me, you guys, if any of this sounds familiar. So I said, oh, Stuart, I finally have drinks for us. And I said, but Stuart, you need to remember to take yours with you when you leave if it's not empty.
I'm a half canner.
He's a half canner, which if he had been at the Mormon household growing up, he would have gotten in so much trouble from my dad because, you know, my dad was a child of the Depression. My dad was one of 9 kids. My dad had 10 kids. So that kind of waste,
all the reason in the world,
to complain and yell at us kids when we left on those infrequent occasions. Growing up, we never were allowed to have pop or anything. But when we got older and we did have pop and seltzers and things like that, he would get so mad. Who's leaving all of these half-drunk cans behind?
We're talking 9 cans half-drunk.
Yeah, and he would be bellowing, not at anyone in particular, but he would just be bellowing and complaining about that. So anyhow, another Christmas memory from my dad and his Christmas, the series that is Christmas. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today. I hope you got a few tips. We'll have a little bit of extra footage here for you to look at some other things that are near and dear to me right now. By the way, another thing I found at Sprouts that were hard to find, one of my Christmas traditions is to always have nuts in shells and put them in my nut bowl. And we've got those, and we've got just a couple of other fun little things around the house that we might want to show you. But from my kitchen to yours, thank you so much for hanging out with us.